Hello, silly. Hello.
Now I got to say I don't like cats.
Oh, that's horrible.
I mean,
You haven't met the right cat then.
It isn't.
But no, hear me out on this. As a coach, we're non-judgmental, other people focused, and that's a dog. Dogs just love unconditionally. They're non-judgmental. Cats are some of the judgiest things on this planet.
Dogs need a lot. They're very needy. Cats, well, my cats are like dogs. They come to the door when they see us. They get on my lap. They let me love them, but they don't need me all the time. So it's kind of nice and I can travel.
But also a cat will sit there and look at you. If I was 100 pounds heavier, you'd be dinner.
No, they don't.
Yes,
no,
they do.
No. La 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 la. That's all I say to you on that. I love cats.
What would you have done if it was like her kid or something chilling and it was like the back of the head and you're like, dog?
And I don't know if y'all know, but Kirby is my daughter. So, I mean, that would have been really mean.
I would have said, I don't have my glasses on.
Dog.
And I
Hey,
always
Mom.
Yep, Kirby's my child. And I always joke that Charlie, we used to work together, and that Charlie was young enough to be my son. So I've adopted him as my son. And I loved and worked with his wife. So she was my daughter-in-law. So have lots of family.
Right. That's right.
And I'm glad not to be at a rodeo. I can hear y'all. It's very calm. And that was my last time to have any kind of craziness.
You were at the rodeo.
I was at the rodeo.
That's just weird to say you were at the rodeo. Like out of all places, like you could, not a
That
regular.
sounds like so much fun, though.
All
It
right.
was so fun. And I feel like because I'd watched Yellowstone, I was kind of an expert, but I don't know. But I was like, I know everything they're doing because Yellowstone.
Right. At that point, just give it a go.
Yeah, I should have gone on a bull. It looked really easy. No.
It probably is. They just make it look like it's so hard.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody. I want to go ahead. I know that some of you may have been introduced to Shaquan by email, but not everybody. So we could go around and do introductions, and then we can end with Shaquan introducing herself just real briefly. And plus, we also have a new faculty member here, so it'll just be good to go around. So I'm Charlie, and I'm one of the faculty members.
Hi, Charlie. Just like AA where we say your name. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Todd. Go.
Todd's just shaking his head.
I am Todd, and I am one of the faculty members.
I'm Haley, and I suppose I'm a faculty member. Go on, Chad.
My name's Chad, and they tell me I'm a faculty member, so here I am.
My name's Snezhana, and I'm not one of the faculty members.
How do you say your name again, please?
Oh, Snezhana.
Snezhana, okay.
Oh, you got it.
Just trying to make sure I get it right.
Oh, you got it.
I've known her longer than you, and I still can't say her name. I kind of hate you for that. So.
Try this, Charlie. Snezhana.
Snezhana.
There you go. Just put the twang in it.
I've already introduced myself. I'm Jennifer, and I am not faculty.
I am Shaquan, and I am not either.
I am Armando, and I am also not a faculty member.
I probably should have done this introduction way different at this point.
Yeah.
This has been terrible. But ultimately, we're going to have, Shaquan joining us, and we're going to be catching her up. So, show grace throughout the course and, be active. And then today, whenever we do our breakouts, what we'll do is Jen and Snezhana and Shaquan, y'all will be in a breakout room and y'all will do stage 1. We're going to be going over stage 2 today, but y'all can do stage 1, and Shaquan, you can be an observer is kind of what we're thinking. So that way we'll get you all caught up, and what we'll do is outside of this, we'll meet again, and then we'll just kind of get caught up. I'll send some YouTube videos from day 1 and things like that, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Then otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Haley.
All right, let's jump in. Well, I guess before we do that, anybody have questions from last week? Anything that stood out to you that you're like, I need to ask before we move forward? And don't ask me because I wasn't here last week, so
Was I?
no. Just in body, not in spirit. All right, cool. So I'm gonna share my screen. We'll get rolling. Maybe I'll share my screen. Hang on. Too many things up on my screens here.
Hey, well, Haley's sharing her screen. Can somebody tell me, where do bad rainbows go?
Here we go.
Into bad unicorns.
No, they go to Prism. But don't worry, it's only a light sentence. And it gives them time to reflect.
Haley, the next time you don't get your PowerPoints up in time to teach, like you're we can't give Todd the opportunity.
No more time for Todd. All right.
Wait. I'm sorry, Todd. Just back at you. So, what do you call a blind deer?
A blind deer?
Mm-hmm.
You may get me. What?
No idea.
No idea. Gotta be in the South for that one.
Oh boy. All right. Now we know the jokesters, so we'll keep throwing those out tonight, I'm sure. Okay, so we're going to jump in tonight and talk about stage 2, as well as some of the more advanced skills, so that when you're in a coaching session with somebody and you need to utilize some skills, you'll be prepared for it. So, whoa. Let's recap from last week real fast. We talked about stage 1. How laying that foundation for the coaching. We talked about what reflections are, and identified some of those. We talked about perspectives, talked about the power of the pause, right? Building that bubble up and letting it sit for a minute, and then values and value conflicts. So that was last week, and anybody that needs to catch up, we'll get you caught up on those. Those are just your foundations. So you'll see this a lot for those of you that haven't seen it. This is your characteristics of a health coach. These are what this class is built on. This is what coaching is built around. So we talk about the qualities of a coach. Mindful, some of the things that stand out, a partner, curious, articulate. These are the things you want to have as a quality as you meet people where they are and talk to them in their coaching sessions. The skills you want to have, we talked about reflections last week, asking those open-ended questions, right? So none of those, well, you can use yes and no questions, but more open-ended questions to dig deeper. Actively listening, making sure that we're giving the space that's needed for our clients. And then there's different coaching strategies. So we dive into these throughout the class. We facilitate a vision, help them to understand what their vision, their values, their mission, aspiration, purpose is. Help them to create SMART goals and start creating SMART action steps to reach those goals. So truly, as a coach, you're there to inspire, motivate, and empower them. And then you see your little dots around there. So you're a change agent, a collaborator, a partner. You do this with a strength-based approach. We talk about future and present, not necessarily the past, and then whole person centered. This is completely around them, their wants, their goals, and how they want to get there. We're just kind of helping to guide that path. They're creating the map itself. Okay. So that's coaching in one slide. That's all you needed. So have a great night. We'll see you next time. Just good things to remember. All right. So first skill we're going to talk about tonight is elicit, provide, elicit. This is a strategy to help you around barriers. So you may have somebody as you're coaching them, kind of get stuck. And maybe they decide they aren't really sure what the answer is or how to get there or what exactly they're looking for. We have strategies for that as a coach. So this is useful when a client is asking for information or they're not sure about something. They may be looking for resources or maybe even asking you your advice. So what do we know as a coach when it comes to giving advice or information? What do we know so far? Any takers?
I would say you want to limit the amount of advice you give. I mean, you can ask for permission, and depending on what it is, like if you're creating a list or something of that nature, but limit the amount of advice that you're giving to them because it's
Absolutely.
your opinion.
Right. So remember that very first day when we talked about what coaching is and what coaching isn't, right? We talked about it not being therapy. It's not you being a mentor. So you're not there to necessarily give advice. You're not necessarily there to answer the questions for them. You're there to help them find the answers for themselves, right? So elicit, provide, elicit kind of gives us a way around that as a coach without specifically giving them something without them being in control. So we talked about that last slide, that your client is the center, right? They are the center of everything that you talk about. Everything goes along with what they need. So it's appropriate when the coach notices the client has maybe misinformation. So Armando, if somebody said, hey, I read in this article that I could get off the couch and go run a marathon today and I wouldn't hurt myself at all. That's some misinformation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can just envision them passing out or hurting themselves instantly. So this is something, if we see kind of a red flag as a coach, we may want to jump in and correct that information, especially if it's going to lead them to some kind of harm. So to offer the information or resources, we have to do it very sparingly, as Armando mentioned. So we call this elicit, provide, elicit, and here's why. It's like a little sandwich. First, we're going to ask the client how they may obtain the information on their own before we try to use this skill. Because if they're willing to kind of go out and check it out for themselves and research it themselves, they're probably more likely to retain the information or truly get it if they're doing it on their own versus somebody just saying it, right? So if they're willing to do that, that's the way to go. And then you want to assess and see what the client knows and reflect it back. Maybe they say something like, shoot, I don't know where I'd get that information. That would then lead us to working through elicit, provide, elicit. If they were to say something as simple as, well, I guess I could Google it, that is a perfect opportunity to let them take control of it and go Google it themselves and bring it back the next time they see you and talk about it. Okay. So elicit, that means ask a question at the beginning. So you're going to assess the client's current understanding. What do you already know about it? What information would be helpful for you? Listen for their answer and reflect that back. It could be a very simple reflection. It could be a summary, a quick little reflection, and then jumping into it, okay? So elicit. Also with elicit, you want to ask them, would it be okay for me to give you a little bit of insight or a little bit of information that I know, right? So that's your question before you give them any information. If they say yes, they're still in control, then you get to jump in and provide some information. So you're asking, may I offer a resource? May I share something about this? And if you provide some information, you want to do it again in small doses, no more than 30 seconds before you check in with them. So if you find yourself talking, you're past the point of them being in control of that session, right? That's you jumping in and taking control. And that's what it's all about. Coaching is all about them. So checking in, the elicit at the end, the nice little sandwich that we're putting together. We are going to ask them, so is that something you think would help you? Is that something that sounds like it would be useful? What are you taking away from the information that I'm giving you? Anything that kind of wraps that up and ask another question to check in with them on how they receive the information or what they're going to do with that information is your last elicit. All right, elicit, provide, elicit, EPE. So if you hear us say EPE, that's what we're referring to. Okay. So there's just an example on a one slide for you, just to succinct it. Elicit, what do you know about it? Reflect it back. You're going to provide information. May I share something I know about it? Offer the information, make it quick, sweet, to the point. Elicit, what are you taking away from what I said? How does that sound to you? Is that useful information for you? Okay. Simple enough, right? Not too hard. Now we're going to practice it. Boom, throwing it on you already. So one of you will be a client, one of you will be a coach. And it's very easy. This is not graded. This is not something you have to be perfect at. This is just for you to jump in and try it out, okay? Because this whole thing about coaching, it's not natural for us. We're not naturally going to provide elicit. We're not naturally going to reflect back to people. This is something that takes practice. So one of you will be a coach. You're going to ask the client to consider one topic on the circle of health and ask if they would like to some information or resources and just practice elicit, provide, elicit. Okay? Sound good? I feel great about it. I don't know about you guys. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second. And how are we going to break this out again, Charlie? What'd you say? I wasn't listening to you earlier.
Well, let's actually have Shaquan as an observer again. It doesn't have to be those particular folks, but let's just have her as an observer. Because I don't even know if she would know what the circle of health is, right? So let's
Oh, good. We'll get you all caught up. Don't you worry. Just
That's
enjoy
right.
tonight. You won't be in the hot seat tonight, but next week. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
All right, let's do this. And you'll either have Todd or Chad in your group. So if you get stuck or you have questions, just let them know. And okay. All right, I'm gonna beam you up. And mentors, when you're done, just bring them on back. Oh, they're already gone. Never mind. You didn't get one? You're not going nowhere. You stay right here. Herbie will just do it on her own. Hang on, let me re-invite. Don't click on room 1 yet. It's going to say room 1. Don't do it. Now go to room 2. Now do. Nothing.
Nope, still here.
It's not saying go join.
No, it's saying Haley is inviting you to join room 2, and then it says join and not now. And I'm hitting join. And it's
I'll go in the room and pull you in. How's that? 1 second.
perfect.
We're like,
Oh, it records in here too. Oh, let me go ahead and start that. Okay,
right.
so yes, so the stages 1 through 4 is just broken down, and as we learn them, we'll kind of show you how it can be done when you put them all together towards the end.
Say hi, Todd. I really just want to eat you.
There's
in
your
your
dog.
sleep.
Mhm.
All right. So that's elicit, provide, elicit, and everybody got a chance to at least practice it just a little bit. So then what do we do if we are potentially given the opportunity within elicit, provide, elicit to share a story? What would we do then? What if it's something that's kind of relevant to you and you may have a little story with it? Any ideas?
I would
Yep.
say ask for permission first, obviously.
Definitely.
Because then
Yeah.
if they don't want to hear your story, then they're gonna be like sitting there because they don't want to hear it, but they're just there.
Yeah.
And I'd probably say you don't want it to make it too long, because it's supposed to be client-centered. Maybe make sure you don't go on too long about your story if they say yes.
Absolutely. So yeah, you may kind of relate to somebody in some way. You still want to make sure you're doing it in a way that keeps them centered in the conversation, right? You're keeping them at the forefront. It's not becoming a Haley show where I'm going to tell you all about my past and how much we're alike, and then you're going to go home and be like, she asked me nothing. She just told me about herself the whole time, right? So you're going to ask the person if they're interested in hearing about your experience. You were right on, both of you. Briefly share your story that relates or may be helpful at times. And just kind of a fair warning here. I prefer, if you can, keep yourself out of it as best you can. It just gets tricky once you start bringing your own story into it. But ask the person what they would be taking away once you kind of give them some information from your story. Okay. This can help with camaraderie. This can help with connection. Maybe there's kind of that missing link and you're trying to kind of connect with them a little more. This can be useful, but just be very careful with it. All right, so when you're sharing your story, make sure you're using mindful awareness and consider the purpose of sharing your story. Are you sharing because it's going to be beneficial to them and helpful to them? Or are you sharing because you want them to know something about you and that's it, right? Or that you're both from Tennessee or whatever the case is. You also want to consider how open the client may be to hearing your story. Maybe it's just not a good time to bring that up. It may open some old wounds or kind of lead you down a rabbit hole. Again, keep it brief. Think about the length and the timing impact your story may have had on them. So if you notice that it kind of made them uncomfortable, or they kind of changed how they're talking with you or whatever, make sure that you're aware of that and maybe kind of talk to them about it and see what's going on. And then generally speaking, telling one story is not highly utilized. So we mentioned that. Okay, next we're going to talk about none other than brainstorming. And yes, I picked out these pictures for all of these and I love them. They're so great. This guy looks so young in this one. He doesn't look like that anymore. All right, so what do you think brainstorming means? What the heck am I talking about? Any ideas?
I would say coming up with ideas together. Well, with them having to come with ideas, and then obviously if you need to involve yourself, then you do. But pretty much coming up with ideas to
100%.
whatever the problem is, or
Yeah,
Maybe whatever
100%.
what comes up to in their mind, not like thinking too much about it, just whatever stream of consciousness, kind of what's coming up.
Yes, absolutely. It
And
doesn't
I
have
think
to.
to,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry. I think to add to that, it's there's no right or wrong in it. It's non-judgmental. It's just you throwing different ideas out there without like, oh no, that won't work or this will work. It's just getting it out there.
100%. Well, I don't have to teach y'all about brainstorming because you hit on all the marks. You guys already know. Yeah, it's something fun, right? It's something that you can do together to kind of come up with ideas, non-judgmental. You don't have to think about it too long. You're just throwing some fun things out there to consider. Here's a picture of my brother stuck in the staircase. Not really, but I promise you we had staircase just like this growing up, and it really does look like him. Somebody stole our pictures. Okay, so brainstorming can be helpful when the client is kind of at an impasse or feels stuck. Gosh, I don't even know how to get started with, I don't know, looking up how to take an exam on how to be a zoologist. That was a good one. I just pulled that out of nowhere. But when they have no idea what to do, and it helps to generate those creative possibilities. So this is just a quote for you: the impossible exists only until we find a way to make it possible. Feel inspired by that one for a second. I'm just gonna let that sink in. Just kidding. All right, we'll move on. Okay, so when we're brainstorming, we have to set it up correctly. What do you remember from Elicit, Provide, Elicit that you have to start with? What was it? Dun, dun, dun.
What's the question again? You have a provider list? What did you say? I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. So Elicit, Provide, Elicit.
Oh, okay. So sorry. I was writing notes. I'm like trying to write notes. Okay.
It's
you.
okay. It made me laugh.
Elicit, so you're asking a question and then you provide information, you're listening information, and then you provide some information, you're listening information again. Is that what you?
Yeah. So you're asking questions, right? You're
Right.
kind of sandwiching it with those questions. So with brainstorming, if you're setting this up, you have to start with a question again. We're keeping this client centered, remember? So this again gives them control of if they even want to do this or not, right? So they're stuck. They're not really sure where to go from here. Maybe a good opportunity to say something like, what ideas do you have about making this change? Or what would you be willing to do? Or would you be willing to brainstorm with me and kind of come up with some ideas? So you're going to invite them to jump in and do this brainstorming and have a little fun with it. So you're going to have an exercise here in a minute, but let me dive a little deeper into brainstorming for just a second. So with brainstorming, it's easiest if you set it up with a little bit of boundaries, because it could go on for days if you're not careful. So a lot of times I like to kind of put in a little blurb after asking if they're okay with brainstorming, if they want to try it. I say something maybe like, for maybe a minute, let's go back and forth and we can be as silly as we want to with it. Just start putting ideas out there. Or we can say something like, let's toss out 6 ideas. I'll take 3 and you take 3. We'll brainstorm, we'll go back and forth. But make sure you just kind of put some kind of perimeters around it so that it doesn't just lag on and on and on and on. Okay. Another thing to kind of just remember, just like with Elicit, Provide, Elicit, when you're brainstorming, after you finish and you've got the ideas out there, then you want to check back in with them. Did any of those ideas resonate with you? Did any of them sound like something that would work for you in this case? Okay. So almost the same kind of setup, but with brainstorming, you're just throwing ideas together. Any questions about that so far? All right, so we're going to have an exercise and you're going to invite a partner to generate ideas as a coach. One of you will be a coach, one of you will be a client again. You're going to take turns throwing out some ideas. Keep it light, keep it fun. Doesn't have to be super serious. Non-judgmental. You're not being evaluated on this. You're just giving out some ideas to help each other if you're stuck. Okay, so here's the activity. Consider an area in the circle of health you would like to make changes, and you could use some ideas. For the coach, explain the brainstorming process and practice with your client. You'll get about 5-ish minutes once you kind of settle in and get it going. Does anybody have questions before we jump in and practice this one?
Is that 5 minutes total, or is that 5 minutes per
I don't
spot?
know. We're kind of loose with it tonight because it's a small class, so we
Okay.
won't stay on the dot. We got plenty
Tickety
of time.
talk.
Tickety tock. All right. Any questions about brainstorming? Feel good about it? Simple, right? Simple skills that you can utilize in a coaching session when you're using stage 1, stage 2, you're trying to get some information. People may get stuck. This is just good skills to have.
You guys want to see it done real quick?
Yeah.
Someone want to volunteer to do
Yes.
it with me?
Yeah,
Chad, you want to do it with me?
sure.
All right, Chad. Hey, brother.
Yes, sir. Hey.
Hey, tell me about an area on the circle of health you're thinking about making some changes in, but you're stuck. You don't know where to go.
I really need to, honest to goodness, I need to get moving my body again.
You want to get moving the body again. You've done this in the past a little bit. You've had some success.
I have.
Yeah. And what's the holdup right now?
Me, lazy.
Lazy. All right, brother. Hey, we got this cool thing. Brainstorming, and just let me explain it, and then we'll see where you want to go with it. Brainstorming is just that we're going to popcorn out ideas. Let's set up some parameters. We'll do 6 ideas. You'll do 1, I'll do 1 till we get to 6. I'll write them down, put them on a piece of paper. After we get done, you can look at them, pick one or discard them all. It'll be up to you. And the other thing with this is no idea is too ridiculous. Let's put on our creative brains and just think outside of the box with this. All right.
Okay.
All right. You good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. So I got my paper ready. I'm going to keep them down for you. Go.
Well, I mean, I have been going to the gym. I can get my sassafras up and go back. Yeah, gym. Going back to the gym.
Go back to the gym.
Yep.
Doing body resistance exercises whenever you're on a break.
I saw a brochure the other day about whitewater rafting. I figured that'd be one heck of a workout.
Whitewater rafting. I know you ride those bikes with engines. Getting a bike without an engine.
Ooh,
One that you got to pedal.
wash your mouth out with soap. Let's see here. Resistance training, blah, blah, blah. I could pull up a YouTube video, kind of tagging off of what you said with the resistance bands and whatnot. I could pull up a YouTube video and do some type of, exercise on my lunch break.
YouTube video. And I've been coaching for a while. I happen to know you got dogs. Get them for a walk.
Hoda would love that.
All right. All right, brother. We got 6 ideas. Here they are. You're going to go back to the gym. You're just going to do some body resistance exercises anytime you have a break during the day. Whitewater rafting. A pedal bike. YouTube videos to help you do fitness when you're not at the gym. And then, walking that dog. Those 6 ideas, does one of them land with you? Was one of those resonate with you?
2 of them actually do. And wow, they were not my ideas at all. I'm shocked. Taking Coda for a walk again intentionally, and then the resistance bands.
The walking the dog and the resistance band. Yeah. And you got them both. If you wanted to focus on one, which one would you go with?
Well, walking the dog would probably be the easiest one to start with.
The dog gets to go for walks.
Dog just go for a walk.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
One thing I want to point out there, and I forgot to do it in my setup, but we're supposed to be non-judgmental and all these ideas, we're not supposed to judge them. And as a coach, I didn't judge. Chad was throwing out judgments throughout on the ideas. And you'll often find that when you're really with the clients.
Yep.
As a coach, don't say that's a great idea or put any judgments on those ideas. You can tell the client not to do it, but the client's going to do what they want to do.
Yep.
What else you guys notice? What else did you guys notice?
You were patient. You let him come up with stuff. You weren't rushing to say stuff. To me, it seemed like, there wasn't, it was kind of one for one too. You weren't overpowering with all your ideas.
And you want to keep it that, give him the space to create his ideas. And as a coach, you want to be able to, well, he's thinking, kind of have your ideas come up. And one of the places that coaches often get stuck with this is they're putting a burden on themselves to make sure they're given good quality ideas that they think the client will use. Don't worry about it. 9 times out of 10, that client's going to pick one of their own ideas anyway. This is just no matter how outside the box it is, throw that idea out there. It's to get those creative juices flowing.
One of the things that I was in the past, what has happened in the past is usually we would let the coach go first and throw out a wild idea that would just off the wall. And one of Todd's favorites is, you could go swimming with sharks, something like that, just to kind of help to get the creative juices flowing, and being wild, like you said. That way you throw something wild and then they throw something and then you just keep going back and forth. And like I did, I kind of tagged on one of his. It's something kind of rang a bell, like, I could do this and kind of tweak a little bit.
So I have a quick question. So to your point, Chad, like if he started off with something wild and the parameters were like 6, and you find at the end of that 6, everything is wild and, not really doable, swimming with the fishes, how would you handle that at that point? Would you assess those 6 and say, hey, here's what we have, what do you think about these? And, hopefully the client would say, well, yeah, I'm not going to go swim with the sharks or, whatever. Then would you circle back around and say, okay, let's do another 6 and see what else we come up with? Or how would you handle like that at that point?
And a lot of times what'll happen with that is, that wild idea, swim with the sharks. When you ask for feedback, the client may say something like, I'm not going to really swim with the sharks, but I'd like to get back in the water, or back in the pool, or back to swimming. And it's just the way our brain works is weird, like that neural connection at this point in their life, they're not connecting fitness to water. They used to love the water. You throw out this crazy idea that puts water, and then all of a sudden the neurotransmitters in their brain goes, damn, I swam competitively in high school. I'd like to get back to swim. It's just one of the things that, and then if they don't like any of those ideas, you can go back to coaching, maybe revisit brainstorming, make that call. Maybe you re-brainstorm then, or you just go back to coaching and try and reestablish values and get some more information from the client, and then revisit it at a later time. But it's cool the way those creative ideas sometimes work and the way the brain works and connects something.
Cool. Thank you.
Good job, Todd and Chad. That was awesome. Thank you. All right, you guys ready to try it? Okay. Let's keep the group that was here earlier in. So I'm gonna take Snezna and Kirby out of the break room here so that we don't well, when it says move, just hit no. How's that? Don't do it. Or if you do, you'll just talk to.
So who hits no?
Kirby and Snezna and I will stay here, hit no. Everybody else joins.
If you hit yes, Todd. I said the group that was here earlier. All right, hang on, let me pause it.